I am Jazmyne Abney. I'm a junior studying political science and mass communication at the North Carolina Central University.
You've been a Democracy Fellow with Common Cause North Carolina for a little bit now. So tell me a little bit about why you wanted to be a fellow with us.
Initially, I wanted to be a fellow with Common Cause North Carolina because I saw the work that they were doing on my campus and it was really genuine. So a former fellow, Jaden, invited me to phone bank in the fall of 2018. And I was just like, oh, this is work that we actually need. We're connecting with people in ways that make sense. And we need more of this. So how can I get involved and stay involved?
Tell me a little bit about what you focused on this semester.
Absolutely. So I focused this semester mainly on education. And I was definitely inspired by the changing environment that we had across the world in education. And I think it really highlighted disparities that were already existing in our classrooms, in our communities, and where children of color were really falling behind. Students in rural areas were really falling behind and not getting the same attention from their states as other students. And we talk about money in politics a lot, but I think it's important to highlight money in education also and how your zip code affects the quality of your education. And that just shouldn't be the case for our students. And I think also working with some of our other fellows like Janara really inspired me to kind of continue to do the research aspect of the work. Because we're also, especially as young people, we're so focused on just like, how can we do it immediately? And I wanted to make sure I had a good grasp of the fullness of the problem.
I love that. So I know that education and resources for education is something that's like very personally important to you outside of it just being a policy initiative that you're passionate about. Can you tell me a little bit about why it's important to you?
Absolutely. So I am the daughter of an assistant principal. My mom was a teacher when I was a little girl. I used to go to her classroom, and she's worked at several different kinds of schools in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, Title I schools, lower performing schools. And so that inspired me, but also my own experience as a student within Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. And I would notice that when I would go to school, my friends would have a different experience. I would talk about the smart boards that we had in our classroom in elementary school, and my friends didn't have that. I always attended magnet schools, and so I wasn't going to the school in my zip code, and so I was getting access to a different quality of education, and I knew even from a small child that that wasn't quite right. Something else that also inspired me as an HBCU student, it's always been important for me to have an environment that reflected who I was. And I didn't get that growing up. Charlotte-Mecklenburg School is a very diverse school system, and they didn't do a great job of hiring teachers, not just custodial staff, not just cafeteria personnel or after school and before school program people, because they had people that looked like me in the building, but they weren't the people that were teaching me. They weren't the people, excuse me, they did teach me quite a bit, but they weren't the people hired to educate me. They weren't the people hired to be administrators in my building.
Right.
And so that affects your value system and how you value yourself and your own work. And I think that that is also an important thing in education that we need to talk about. Because we'll see students go further when they can see themselves being great every single day in their classrooms and in their education.
That's real. Well, one of the things you helped us with this semester was the town hall. Can you talk to me about your experience with the town hall and moderating that very vibrant conversation?
Being able to co-host the town hall alongside Ashley was an awesome experience, but it also continually tested my ability to be for the people.
Can
Um,
you explain more?
we often have these conversations, especially with elected officials. And sometimes we're just so excited to have them in the room that we forget to challenge them. Um, and especially as a young person, as an HBCU student, it is important for me to never let people forget that we are committed to the work within our communities. Even if you don't see it because you're not as tapped in, you don't know what we do and how we move amongst ourselves, even if you've been elected to represent us, that can be the case. And so making sure to like push back and keep the conversation honest when we have moments of discomfort was really important and really inspiring to me. But also in the town hall experience, we had these wonderful activists who spoke really big truths, things that we don't often hear. And I think it was just really exciting to have such honesty come through, and so much intelligence
Mm.
from these two Black women that were also compassionate and also thoughtful and also caring towards each other and the space that they were in. I think that that for me was really a learning moment of just how you can move in these spaces that have traditionally been very um, plain. We come and we talk about an issue, and there is no life to it. It's very policy. It's very, these are the facts, and this is how we do it, and this is what we're going to do to fix it, and you're going to accept it, and we're done. But there's so much nuance to this space, and we can have these conversations with a lot more love going forward. And I think that that was really a big takeaway for me personally, and I hope also for our audience.
What have you learned this year?
I think that I have learned so many things this semester that I'm still digesting them all.
Okay.
I think back to just the town hall and that emphasis on love, because I think that's missing in a lot of what we do. The world in the past year has shifted so much because there are so many people who were never paying attention, who were never compassionate, who were never intentional before, who are just kind of like peeking through the blinds, trying to be more socially aware or conscious or trying to form opinions about what's going on in the world, whether it is brutality that we see, no matter whether it's being carried out by the state or by individuals, whether it is inequities that we see, whether it is the failure or rather the success of American institutions that we are seeing right now. It is that we need love. And we need to tackle these conversations with a lot more love. We need to be fostering love within our communities and recognizing that love is a choice. So if you love America, you have to choose to continually do right by America. If you love democracy, you have to continually choose to do right by democracy. So opening it up and making sure that all people in this country have access to it because it is for the people, by the people. So if you're eliminating people, it's not existing. And so love isn't always doing what feels good. Love isn't always easy, but centering that in the work that we do and making choices that are right, making choices that are fair and just is really important.
How do you feel overall about this semester, the experience, the work you've done, just everything?
I'm super grateful as always to be a Common Cause Fellow. I think that because I was able to experience the program pre-pandemic, I've always had super high hopes, and we have continually as a team exceeded those hopes. I think my work isn't always perfect, but it's good to know that I'm contributing to something so much bigger, and really impacting audiences. I think the feedback that we get from me, even if it's from one person or two people, even if it's just my professor logging on to listen in, it's a big deal. Still to be able to do this. I'm definitely sad because I know my time with Common Cause in this capacity is winding down. But I just look forward to continually seeing the growth of the program, the growth of the work, and the impact that HBCU students make, being highlighted a little bit more as we expand beyond the bounds of our campuses and of our campus communities, because that's really, really important work. But it's also important to kind of broaden it sometimes and show the world a little bit more of what we do.
Thank you for everything you did this year.
Thank you.